Hi there, my name is Sarah. I am the maker behind Sarah Lilly Makes. This is my YouTube channel and this is episode 5. Hi, welcome to my channel. Welcome to my returning viewers. If you are returning, thank you for checking in and coming back to see what I have to share. If you're new, welcome and thank you for checking this video out. Like I said, this is episode 5. I still feel pretty new at this, but I feel like I'm improving as I go along. I was fiddling with my camera before I started, trying to make sure it wasn't too bright, and I don't know if I fixed it or not, but we'll see how it goes. This is episode 5, and it's been a few weeks. It's been 5 weeks, I believe, since my last video, and yeah, it's been a while. Life has just gotten busy. And things have just gotten busy, and it's finally like calming down for a week before it gets busy again. So I figured I'd take this time and try to record a video because it's been a while. It's been busy. Things have been busy. Like I said before, we're in a busy season of life with my kids' extracurricular stuff. They're very involved in theater. Our family as a whole is very involved in children's theater. And we just completed the season, which the last production was Matilda. And 3 of my older kids were in the play. I was behind the scenes with costumes, and it took a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot for them, and costumes is also very intensive. So yeah, we're just settling. The dust is finally settling from that, and then picks back up because next week they have more theater related stuff. We're going out of town for a competition, and yeah, we're very deep into theater. But we love it. They love it very much. It's their thing. So my husband and I are just there to support them and just help them, find things that it's good for them. That's a little bit of the life update, and I guess I'll just dive right into the video. I don't think I have any other updates to share outside of knitting. Yeah. I don't want this to be too long. I think my last 2 videos ran a little longer than I would have liked for me personally. And I would like to keep this under 45 minutes. If that's even doable. I haven't had a whole lot of knitting time. I literally have like 1 whip. I have a few finished objects, but I haven't really had the time to cast on very many things. It's just, yeah. I normally knit. My knitting time is like 2 to 3 hours a day at the minimum on like a regular basis. And I think the past like 3 weeks, it's probably been like 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm finally getting back into my knitting groove, and that feels nice. And knitting is something that helps me be grounded. It helps me be grounded, and it's just something that helps me be more mindful and calm, and I'm sure it is the same for you if you're watching this. Okay, so it's been a while. I'm trying to get back into the groove of things. If I'm kind of scatterbrained, I apologize. It's just, I didn't really plan I was trying to like plan what I wanted to say, but I didn't like jot it down, which I do sometimes. I didn't jot anything down this time, so I'm just kind of going on a whim, sort of. Okay, so I will start with my finished objects. I will share a whip, my singular whip that I have. I mean, I have a few other whips, but there's been no progress on them, so I wouldn't even bring it up. I might bring it up, but I won't like share it on the camera. And then I do have acquisitions because it's been 5 weeks and buying yarn is kind of, yeah, I'm sure you can relate. So I will start with my finished objects. Something that I shared in my last video. I hadn't made a whole lot of progress on it, but it's done. It's been done. It's been done for like almost a month now. I just haven't recorded. So, all right. So the Viola tee, which was a test knit for my friend Sarah of Noel Knits on Instagram. So this is a child's tee, a child's summer tee, and it is knit with, or I knit this with Sandnes Garn Sunday, which is a light fingering non-superwash merino yarn. And in the colors, so the pink, the main color is plastic pink, and the contrast color, or coordinating color, if you will, is milk chocolate. So this tee, I was a very bad test knitter. It was a test knit, and I was a very bad test knitter in that I dropped the ball on getting Sarah all my notes because the pattern released last week, which was the most hectic week for me. So I dropped the ball on that. Sarah, I sincerely apologize. Please forgive me and don't blacklist me from your tester list if you have one. But yeah, it's a really sweet little pattern. I enjoyed knitting this. It was such a quick knit, despite the fact that it's knit with fingering weight yarn. It's knit with 3.5 millimeter needles, so US 4 needles, and fingering weight yarn, like I said. And it's very lightweight, it's very airy. It's not like see-through by any means, but it's still a very lightweight and very summer garment. Now, I have said before that I like and I enjoy using merino yarn all year round. And even with that, even with the fact that this is wool, I haven't really gotten a chance to put it on my daughter because we have not really had any warm days. I think the high today is like 70. So yeah, we haven't really had a whole lot of warm days where I can actually let her comfortably wear this without throwing something over it. So here's hoping it warms up a little bit. But even so, I have no qualms about putting wool on my daughter or myself all year round. But yeah, so it's got a cute little scallop colorwork detail at all the hems, the bottom and the sleeves, and then a folded over neckline, which I love. I like throwing, not throwing, I like folding the neckband and sewing it down. That's generally how I like to finish off a lot of my garments. And it is a compound raglan. So the raglan increases is not done evenly every other row. It's done where one round is 8 increases, like a normal raglan would be, and then the other round would be maybe 4, where the increases are just done on the body and not the sleeves. So that is this, a very sweet pattern. I appreciate that Sarah makes children's patterns. I will support pattern designers that include kids in their pattern designs, pattern portfolio. And yeah, I started knitting because I wanted to knit for my kids, so I appreciate that. I appreciate pattern designers that make adorable kids garment patterns. That's just the sweetest. So yes, please check out her patterns if you knit for kids. It's super sweet, and I want to make more of this. It's even with you could make it without the color work, and it would be a great basic child's tea pattern. But yeah. So Viola Tea by Sarah of Noel Knits. And my second finished object is something that I also shared in my last video, which was a while ago. And this is the Cherry Genser, which is a pattern from Sandnes Garn. There's still a couple of ends that I didn't clip or weave in, actually. My bad. Okay, so this is the Cherry Genser Lina edition because there are a few iterations of this pattern in the Sandnes Garn catalog. I know there's a Sunday and mohair version, and then there's a dress, which is also Sunday and mohair, I think. Knit with Sunday and mohair. And that's on my list. It's on my ever-growing list. But yeah, I do want to knit all the dresses, but we'll get to that at another point. So this is Cherry Genser, and before I get into this pattern, I just wanted to offer a disclaimer that I am not a perfectionist in knitting by any means. I make mistakes in a lot of my knitting, in a lot of my garments. There are mistakes, and I think I've gotten to the point where I don't let it bother me, for the most part. Unless it's a really noticeable mistake, like there's a purl bump where it should be a knit, or like a cable is twisted on like in a cable sweater or something. If it's not noticeable to the naked eye, I don't care. I just don't care. So that's my disclaimer, that I am not a perfectionist by any means when it comes to my knitting. And I'm also a very distracted knitter. I was very distracted while I was knitting this because I was watching TV, was watching K-drama or something. And I was not paying attention to my raglan increases, and I went way overboard with the body raglan increases. So my stitch count, when I was about to separate for sleeves, I realized I was just way off. I had the stitch count for an extra large, I think it was. And my sleeves were the correct stitch count for my size medium, which is what I was intending to make. So I realized that I was off. I sobbed for a second, and then I just continued because I was not going to frog. Now, the garment itself is supposed to be somewhat oversized, and it is very oversized on me. And it's meant to be somewhat cropped, and I kept it the length it's supposed to, at least I think it's supposed to be somewhat cropped. Anyway, there is like yarn sticking out somewhere here. I'm trying to find it. Where are you? Okay, anyway. So, yeah. So what I ended up doing anyway is after I joined and I knit like around, I did 4 decreases on each. So like this is the where I would put a stitch marker in the middle underneath both armpits, and I decreased 1 on each corner, and then I knit another round and I decreased 4 more stitches. So I decreased 8 total, I believe, and it didn't get me to a medium stitch count. It got me somewhere between a medium and a large. It's fine. It's not a big deal. The sleeves are what it's supposed to be. They're oversized. And yeah, so I'm not crying about it anymore. I have worn it a few times and it's cute. It's just a little oversized. And so yeah, this is knit with Sandnes Garn Lina in putty as the main color, and then a rainbow. Just a bunch of colors that kind of make a rainbow. Yeah, it's like 8 different colors. And yeah, so it has a folded hem and a split hem. Pay no attention to the yarn just straggling there. So folded hem and split hem, and then folded hem on the sleeve. Oh, where is the sleeve? Yeah. So I really enjoy knitting with Lina. It's a really great plant-based fiber. It's cotton, linen, and viscose, and I just enjoy knitting with it over the summer. I enjoy knitting with this yarn, and I enjoy wool over the summer, and yeah, so I realized as I was talking about this project that I didn't share what I was wearing, and I've done that. I feel like I always keep forgetting to talk about what I'm wearing. I'm so all over the place. I'm sorry. Let me just pause talking about my finished objects and talk about what I'm wearing. Okay, I am wearing the Cumulus Tee, which is a pattern by Petite Knit, and it is knit. It's not focusing very well. It is knit with Sysleriget's Pure Silk in the colorway Summer Sorbet. And I went into great detail about this pattern in this garment in my last 2 episodes. And in my last episode, when it was a finished object, mostly finished object, I hadn't done the I-cord edge for the neckline yet. I had done the I-cord edge for the sleeve and for the body, but I hadn't done the neckline yet, and I'm so glad I did. I finished it off. I don't know why I put it off. It literally took like an hour to finish it off. But it's complete. It's such a great piece. I literally have nothing negative to say about this. I want to make this again. I want to use this yarn again. This Pure Silk from Sysleriget. It is such a dream to work with. I just thoroughly enjoyed knitting with this yarn. And I know I know a lot of people talk about knitting with the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which I also have plans to use later on this year. But it doesn't feel like that at all. It completely feels completely different. So yeah, my experience with this yarn is I wish everyone who is not opposed to silk has the opportunity to try it, because it is such a great, it's just such a beautiful fiber to knit with, and highly recommend it. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about this, because I said before that I wasn't going to keep talking about it, and I forgot to talk about it, and now I'm still talking about it. Moving on. Back to my finished objects. Okay, the next 3 things that I have to share are not things that I had included in my spring and summer plans. I talked about this in my last video, that I'm very aware of changing plans, and I'm okay with plans changing. Plans are meant to be changed. There's nothing wrong with changing plans. My daughter will laugh at me for how many times I said the word plans. Okay. So yeah, there are things that I did want to make last year. One of them I did make, but I wanted to make more of it. So I'll just jump into it, and this is my third finished object. This is the Augusta singlet, which is a pattern from Sandnes Garn. And it is a pattern that came out last year in their Tykk booklet or pamphlet. It was literally like 4 patterns in the booklet. So I made this pattern last year, and I have the garment here. I made it also. This is last year's version. So I made it with, it might have been putty. I think it might have been putty. And I wore this literally nonstop last year. And I washed it so much and it shrunk. So this is not where I want to wear my garments. This is literally it's at my natural waist, but I prefer my garments to be at my hips, like this. It's at my hip. It's actually like lower than my hip, which is perfect. That's how I want to wear my garments. So I still wear this. I just wear it with like a high-waisted skirt or something, and a button-up over it, because I don't generally like wearing camisoles or tank tops by themselves, but I like making them. So this one came about this year, and it's the perfect length for me. Okay, I made the back a little bit higher, or the front, it doesn't matter, but it's a great length. Yeah, that's where I want it. That's where I want my garments to fall. That is the Augusta singlet, and I knit that with Tykk, which is from Sandnes Garn, and the colorway is Pistachio green. I'm pretty sure. I'll just put it in if it's not. But yeah, so that's it's a really quick knit. It's a bulky weight yarn. It's the Tykk version of Lina, which is cotton, linen, and viscose. And it's a really great project. The Augusta singlet, which is the camisole version, there is also another, okay. Sandnes Garn also has the Augusta dress, which is a garment on my to-make list. I just went ahead and did this one first because I wanted to just have it. I needed some new camisoles in my wardrobe, and I'm happy. I'm really happy with this. I love this green. I think this is the same green as the Cos that I made my son's sweater with. I could be wrong. It might be the same one, just a slightly different variation of it. But yeah, this is such a fun pattern. It's knit from the bottom up. So I did a tubular Italian cast on. I did the recommended lengths for the ribbing, changed needle size, and knit all the way up, and then you separate the front and the back. You separate the front and the back at the armpits here, and then you do decreases on both sides. Then you separate into 2 triangles, this triangle, decreasing all the way up. I'm sharing a lot of the pattern, but it's also kind of, the dress, which is the same version, is free, so it's not that different from the dress. It's just different stitch count because you're doing decreases all the way up the dress to make it an A-line. And I think that's it. That's all I have to say. about that tank top. I am going to make more, and I have the yarn to make more because it's such a quick knit, it's such a wearable piece, and it's just overall a really beautiful garment, and I love it. I really, really love this. Okay, moving on. My fourth finished object. I will actually just put this right here. Not there, not, and these two. Okay, my fourth finished object was also something that I wanted to make last year and didn't get around to it, and I did not include it in my plans. And that is a June top. Now, if this yarn looks familiar, it's because I have used this yarn before, and I had 2 skeins extra that I needed to use up. This is Sysleriget Vintage Daybed in single merino. Yes, a woolly tank top. I'm not going to keep reiterating it about enjoying wool, but this was such a fun knit. A very basic, like, tank top almost. Like, this is a tank top, right? And I complained about making garments too small. Well, not too small, but like not long enough for me. And I did that with this because I just had no more yarn. So this is teeny. This is teeny, teeny, teeny. I mean, it will work. It will work like my other tank top will work. It's just not long enough. It falls at my belly button, just below my belly button. So I will have to wear this with high-waisted stuff again, or over a dress or something. But I really like this. I'm not too happy with how my I-cords turned out. I think on like is it my left? My right one is fine. My left I-cord is sloppy. Like, it's not that great. But it's in the armpit section, so no one's really watching that. And I didn't do the I-cord at the bottom because I have very little yarn left, and I don't know that it will be enough. I'll just try it still, though, and see if I can eke it out. But I probably will lose yarn. So it cut off, so I don't remember where I stopped talking. But yeah, I probably will not have enough yarn for this, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll just try it. I'll just pick up the stitches and see how far it gets me, and yeah. But yeah, overall this is a really fun knit, very quick, mostly mindless. No, I take that back. There were a lot of binding off stitches, that's the word I'm looking for, in certain spots. And I think, actually, I don't know if you can tell, but like this shoulder is just like half a centimeter smaller. That much. So I kind of, yeah, but in the end, it's fine. It's not a big deal. And this, I did mention the yarn, Sysleriget Merino singles. I held a double. And yeah, it feels very cool to the touch. Like, I'm gonna wear this a lot. I know I'm gonna get wear out of this, despite the fact that it's not my preferred length. So I did want to make another June top with another yarn I had bought, and I mentioned this previously. And now that I think about it, it won't be enough because it was 2 skeins as well. I should just double check the yardage actually to make sure, but we'll see. This color is similar-ish. It's like a neutral pink almost with some gorgeous speckling. And the yarn, this was left over from a Monday sweater that I had made last fall. The Monday sweater by Petite Knit. And I will stop talking about this now. Moving on. My last finished object is another pattern that I did not anticipate to make. But I made it anyway. And that is the Lyon sweater by Petite Knit. And this was so much fun to knit. I made this for my toddler. And I made the size 4-5, which she's 3, but she's like growing. She does not stop growing. So this is constructed like the poppy tee, which I talked about in my last episode. And so it's a dropped shoulder, European shoulder with a contiguous sleeve, I believe. And so you start at the shoulders, you make the back piece, then you pick up stitches for the front. You pick up stitches for the front here, both sides. And then you pick up stitches for the sleeve while doing increases. Then you join the body and the sleeves, and then you knit down, and then you join the entire body. It's a paid for pattern, so I don't want to share too much details, but it's a lovely design. And I realized that this was my 3rd striped knit this season. And she's been wearing this a lot because it's been chilly. And oh yeah, I knit this with Sandnes Garn Sunday in the color Whipped Cream, and the pink is the same plastic pink from my first finished object. And I want to make a version for myself, which is on my plans for later this summer, but I'm going to use these 2 colors instead. Same pink, but I'm going to use almond instead of the whipped cream. So, somewhat matchy. But yeah, this was a fun knit. This was a quick knit. And my stripes were not the greatest. Like, the join wasn't the best. Can you see? Some of them are okay, but some of them aren't so great. I can't, sorry. But my sleeves were okay, I think. Nope, they're not okay either. I mean, I don't know. It's okay. It could have been better. The sleeves on my cherry Genser, though, those are okay. I forgot to share that. All over the place. Let's see the other sleeve. Maybe not that direction. Huh. I carry the yarn up like the pattern. I always carry my yarn up or down. Down when I'm knitting stripes. And it's okay. It could be better. But yeah, I really loved knitting this, and I'm so glad to be done with it. It didn't take that long. I think, okay, so this is knit with yarn held together. And I saw some people wondering why she did that when you could just use double Sunday. And my theory was that she knit one of her original samples with the plastic pink, but there was no double Sunday in plastic pink. And that is my theory, that's why Sunday was the recommended, because double Sunday works just as fine. I knit it with Sunday, held together, both colors. And my problem with that is that sometimes I forget that I'm knitting with 2 strands of yarn held together, and then you get this lovely little thing right here where I just catch, I don't know if you could see that very clearly, but I catch just one strand, not both strands. And I did that like 3 times. And I thought blocking would kind of like, there's another one. You could see it like right there, right there, right there. Yeah, it's not a hole by any means. It's just that it's just 1 strand of yarn instead of 2 strands of yarn. And I was kind of hoping that blocking would kind of settle it out, but it didn't do anything. It's still there. But thankfully it's just like 2 spots where I didn't catch both strands of yarn. It's just those 2 spots right there. I think I was more cognizant as I was knitting further down when I realized that I wasn't catching both strands of yarn, so I was able to ladder down and pick it up if it wasn't like, if it was less than like 4 or 5 rows. But those other 2 I didn't catch until really late, so I just let it go. But yeah, so the Lyon sweater by Petite Knit, and it is so nice, it's so soft. And I want to make one for myself, like I mentioned, and I want to make one for my younger son. Okay, so those are my finished objects and what I'm wearing. That was kind of late to the party. I have like 3 whips, and 2 of them I have not made any progress on because, yeah, I've been wanting to finish off those garments that I just shared, and I didn't really have time to start casting on new things, and I didn't want to put myself in that place while we were really busy the past couple of weeks. I didn't want to cast on. I didn't have the bandwidth, the mental bandwidth. I didn't have the mental bandwidth to cast on anything new. So I casted on last night something for my toddler, and I really wanted to get to a spot where it wouldn't look super awkward, but I don't think it's just gonna look awkward no matter where I pause it at. So this was a project from my spring and summer plans. Yes, this was something that I included in my spring and summer plans video, and it is the Jolly Genser. So, oh wow, that is not picking up. And it is supposed to kind of match my cherry Genser, although I changed the orange at the very last minute. So all the colors are going to be the same except the orange, which is fine. I'm not going to go back and change my color orange anyway either. Okay, so I started this last night, and I feel like, okay, sorry, before I move on, it's from this pattern booklet, which is Sandnes Garn 2306, which was their most recent booklet, actually, I think. It's a kids, it's the kids summer booklet, and it's labeled easy, as it should be, because it seems like it would be a fairly easy pattern. It's a round yoke where you do increases every couple of rounds, every couple of stitches. And I don't know if I just, maybe it was late and it went over my head, but I was kind of confused. And I don't know, like, it looks kind of weird. It looks kind of how the pattern, the pictures in the pattern booklet is, but I think I need to just knit more and see if it turns out. But I was just confused, and I think I'm like in the wrong spot for where the colors change. And since it's a round yoke and not a raglan, you just kind of separate for the sleeves early on, like stitch markers. You put stitch markers to separate for the sleeves. So there are a lot of loose ends. I apologize. It's just, everything is just everywhere. So there's a stitch marker for the sleeves on both sides. And then on the other side, on the left sleeve. But I just feel like I did something wrong, because my changing of the colors somehow ended up by like the left sleeve start. And I don't know if that's where it wasn't indicated in the pattern where to start it. So I kind of just went with how I was knitting and where I felt like would be an appropriate place to start. And I think it will work out. I'll keep knitting and see how it splits when I split for the sleeves. I think it'll work out fine. I'm not too worried. But I did also kind of went... So it's a 4 main colorway round row. The main colorway is 4 rounds. And then the contrast color, each contrast color is 2 rounds. Somehow, when I was doing the German short rows, I forgot to cut my yarn, and the red has 3 rounds. And I only caught that like an hour ago. I must have just been so tired last night when I was knitting this. Yeah, so it's okay. I'm not making a fuss out of it. I just realized that I caught that later. And I did catch that with the orange, actually, last night. And I tinked back. And I removed the 3rd row of orange colors. But I didn't realize that I also did it with the red. So you do German short rows while simultaneously changing colors, and it's just a lot of loose ends on the inside. So I've kind of started weaving in ends as I go, so it's just everywhere. But this orange is so pretty, and you'll see in a second when I get to my acquisitions how I feel about that orange. But yeah, so this is the Jolly Genser, again, from Sandnes Garn, 2306, their kids' summer booklet. And I have 3 more things I realized that I want to make in this. But this is moving along swimmingly, and I think I could finish this in less than a week, maybe, and then I will cast on many of my other things that I want to cast on. And yeah, that is it for my whips. My only whip. I have the Lola dress that I have made no progress on. Still sitting. I still only have a back panel. If you've watched my other videos, all I did was a back panel. It's still there. It's still waiting for me. And yeah, it's not going anywhere. I still want to finish that though. That's definitely a project that I want to complete this summer. So eventually, sometime in the next, what are we in, June? 2 months, maybe. But that's it for my whips and my finished objects, and I will dive into my acquisitions because I have gotten some new yarn the past couple of weeks. My first yarn acquisition is from a pre-order from Explore Knits and Fibers, and it is linen in Rocky's DK, and I got a sweater's quantity of this to make a sweater for fall, and I am still not sure yet what sweater I want to make with it, but I know I want to make a sweater for fall with this because it's such a neutral, fallish color. And as you can see by my knits, I am loving all the colors lately. But I think for fall and winter, I'm a little bit more subdued. So that's why I want to keep that for fall. And maybe, I don't know. This year I'm loving all the colors. I'm allowed to change my mind when the time comes and see what I make with that. And my second acquisition, also from the Explore Knits and Fibers pre-order, like March, I think it might have been in March or April, is Joshua Tree. And I got this in Earthy DK, which is a non-superwash merino yarn. And I think I also got this, yeah, I also got a sweater's quantity of this. It is definitely not neutral. Although it's more neutral than, it's more subdued than some of my other acquisitions, as you will see. And I also jumped in on the Sorella's spring tonals. I believe it was spring tonal. And I got some boulangerie Suri lace. And I've already wound up a couple of these because I want to cast on a Cumulus O-neck, which is one of the newer petite knit. It's a Cumulus blouse, but O-neck. And I like the O-neck a little bit more than the V-neck. I mean, I like the V-neck just fine, but I like the O-neck a little bit more because it's less skin for me. And I don't really, I need a tank top underneath my garments anyway, but I just prefer a more modest neckline personally. And I know that word is subjective anyway, so just for me personally, I prefer the O-neck a little bit more than the V-neck. And so I want to make it with this Suri lace, and it is 74% baby Suri alpaca and 26% silk, and this is so soft. Oh my gosh. I have some Suri lace from Explore Knits and Fibers, and it feels very similar. It's just literally the softest thing. I'm really excited to cast on the Cumulus tee because I kind of need one. Yeah, so moving on. Okay, so I talked about this. I talked about this yarn in depth. Too much. I just really love this yarn so much that I had to get more. This is Sysleriget Pure Silk, and the color is Coral Cure. So it's a little bit more vibrant than this. It's a very corally color with like splashes of red or like a burgundy. And definitely another petite knit summer pattern. So not this pattern, but either the Anchors tee. Is that the one I'm thinking of? The Anchors tee? Yeah, I think that is the one I want to make with this. The Anchors tee, which is the rib yoke with a round ribbed yoke. I've made multiple anchors for my toddler. She has like 5 anchors. So I'm very familiar with the pattern, and it'll just breeze by. And so I was talking about the orange in this. I just loved it so much that I got this is Tykk, and I'm going to make another Augusta singlet. So that green, that pistachio green tanked up camisole thingy with this orange, and it's bright. This is bright. Wow. But I love it. It's just showing up much brighter on camera than it is in real life. It looks like what does it look like? It's just pretty. It looks like orange. And I also got red. So orange and red. And this is going to be the Alice top from Petite Knit. Yeah, I saw she released that and I was like, the construction is very similar to the Poppy Tee and the Lyon tee, but I think it's knit bottom up. And I'm enjoying bottom up tanks. I generally don't enjoy bottom up for like sweaters and things where you have to attach sleeves to. I don't care for that too much. But a tank top, you're not attaching anything to it. It's fine. So the bottom up version, I prefer, I think, more than a top down version. Because with the top down, you're fiddling with like 1, 2, 3, 4 separate pieces of fabric and joining it together. And I think I prefer the bottom up for like a tank top or like a camisole or like a spaghetti, something spaghetti strap. And I also received my Hedgehog Fibers club, which came very early, actually. So I purchased a Hedgehog Fibers Airy Club, June, July, and August Airy Club, and it is so pretty. It like makes itself into a beautiful fade. And that's not showing very well. But this is a neutral, very neutral white with a lot of bright speckles and dark speckles. So there's blues and greens and blacks and pinks. And then the second one is more like an oatmeal and like a nude almost with greens and blues. Like a nude pink oatmeal almost. And then blue. And it's so pretty. It's stunning. And I am going to make this into a fade. I love Hedgehog Fibers. I love their yarn so much. Like, I'm obsessed. Just a little. But yeah, I love variegated yarn. I love color. I love speckly yarn. And I love it. It's so cheery and it's so fun and it's so colorful. And one more acquisition I have, also Hedgehog Fibers. I got this in yesterday. And it's their new color of the month. And I couldn't resist. And it's Daiquiri. I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly. I'm not a fan of the name. Please don't shoot me. I'm not a fan of but the color. I love the color. It's just gorgeous. Again, a more neutral, like yellowy undertone yarn base. Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. With a lot of speckles. And that's not showing. And then I got the mohair to hold it. So I got sock. Sorry. The last one I shared is Skinny Singles, which is 100% merino. Superwash merino? I don't know. Single merino. It's a single merino. And this one is sock and mohair. And yeah. A cardigan or something with this. Not quite sure. I had to get it because it was so pretty. And they sold out really quickly. When I purchased it and I went back to just like stare at it, I was like, oh wow, that's all sold out. I think they added more later on, but it went quickly. Not surprised because it's so pretty. Yeah, so this is for fall. And this is for fall. This is for now. And then my Expert and Fibers is fall. Fall, winter. I feel like this would be a good spring, for early spring. Like a cardigan or something. I don't know. I don't know. And then this is now. Well, as now as it can be. What? Yeah, soon. This is soon. This is soon. This is very, very soon. And this is very, very soon. And yeah, I was all over the place. I am sorry. And I went over 45 minutes. Way over 45 minutes. Oh my gosh, my camera is about to die too. That's it. That's all I have for today, which actually turned out to be a lot more than I intended. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. And I will see you next time. Happy knitting.